Alien princes horrified. We only fought a human scout unit. The Golden Fleet's first mistake. The command deck of the Eternal Glory shimmered with golden light. Prince Kelvar stood at the center, his tall frame draped in ceremonial armor that reflected the power of the Zephyron Empire. Around him, holographic displays showed 80 warships arranged in perfect formation. Each vessel gleamed like a jewel against the black canvas of space. Beside him stood his younger brother, Prince Thurian, a tactical genius known for his careful planning. On his other side was Princess Ashira, the youngest of the 3 royal siblings. She carried herself with quiet intelligence that often went unnoticed by her more boisterous brothers. 80 ships of the Golden Fleet, Kelvar announced proudly to his bridge crew. The same force that crushed the Yalvan resistance in 3 days. The same power that made the Korthan world surrender without firing a single shot. Thurian nodded, studying the tactical display. Our target is simple. A human mining operation on asteroid cluster AX-447. Intelligence reports minimal defenses, perhaps a few automated systems, nothing more. Ashira frowned slightly. Brother, we know little about these humans. They appeared in this sector only 5 years ago. Should we not observe them first? Kelvar laughed, a sound that echoed through the bridge. Observe? Sister, we are Zephyron royalty. For 3,000 years, our empire has expanded across 47 star systems. We have conquered 47 different species. These humans are merely the 48th, the tactical officer interrupted. Your Highness, we are approaching the asteroid cluster. Scanners show mining equipment on 6 large asteroids. Energy signatures are low. We detect 1 vessel in the area. 1 vessel? Kelvar's eyes brightened with amusement. Show me. The holographic display shifted. A small ship appeared, barely 1/10 the size of a Zephyron frigate. Its design was simple, almost primitive. The hull showed clear signs of wear and it carried no visible heavy weapons. Thurian leaned forward. Curious design. The ship appears to be a scout or survey vessel. Minimal armor plating. I see sensor arrays but no plasma cannons or missile ports. A mining support ship, Kelvar declared. Probably carries supplies or surveys new sites. He turned to his communication officer. Hail them. Demand their immediate surrender. The officer worked his console. Channel open, Your Highness. Kelvar's voice boomed across space. Attention, human vessel. This system now belongs to the Zephyron Empire. You will surrender your ship and cease all operations. Resistance will result in your destruction. Silence answered them. The small human ship continued its slow drift near one of the larger asteroids. They ignore us, Kelvar snarled. How dare they? He turned to his weapons officer. Target that ship. Fire a warning shot across their bow. Yes, Your Highness. A beam of blue plasma erupted from the Eternal Glory. It streaked through space, aimed to pass just meters from the human vessel. But something unexpected happened. The small ship suddenly accelerated, moving with surprising speed. The plasma beam missed completely, hitting empty space. Thurian's eyebrows rose. Impressive reaction time. Their pilot is skilled. Kelvar waved dismissively. Lucky, fire again. Disable their engines. The weapons officer targeted carefully. 3 more plasma beams fired. The human ship twisted and rolled, dodging each one with precise movements. It was like watching a dancer avoid raindrops. Ashira stepped closer to the display. Brother, look at their movement pattern. It is too perfect. No pilot can react that quickly to weapons fire. Then they have good computers, Kelvar snapped. All ships open fire. Destroy that vessel. Around them, the 80 ships of the Golden Fleet activated their weapons. The space around the small human ship lit up with plasma fire, missile trails, and energy beams. It should have been impossible for anything to survive, but survive it did. The human scout ship moved through the deadly light show like smoke through fingers. It spiraled, dove, and twisted in patterns that seemed to defy physics. Every shot missed. Every missile lost its target. On the bridge of the TSS Horizon Scout, Captain Maria Santos sat calmly in her chair. Her crew of 8 worked efficiently around her. The ship shook occasionally from near misses, but no panic showed on anyone's face. Status, Maria said quietly. Her co-pilot, Lieutenant Chen, checked his displays. Shields holding at 90%. Arya is handling evasive maneuvers. She is calculating their firing patterns in real time. Aria was the ship's artificial intelligence. Her calm voice filled the bridge. I have analyzed 80 enemy vessels. Their weapon systems follow predictable firing sequences. Probability of successful hit currently at 0.3%. Maria nodded. Good. Continue evasive pattern Delta 7. Communications. Send encrypted burst transmission to Terran Command. Full tactical data on enemy fleet. Transmitted, Captain, the communications officer replied. Command acknowledges. They are reviewing data now. Captain, Chen said. The enemy is adjusting formation. They are trying to box us in. Maria allowed herself a small smile. Let them try. Area, prepare jamming sequence. Make their sensors see what we want them to see. Understood, Captain. Suddenly the Zephron sensors showed not one human ship, but 5. Each one appeared identical, moving in different directions. The Golden Fleet's targeting systems went haywire, trying to lock onto all 5 targets simultaneously. Prince Thurian stared at the display in confusion. What is this? How did one ship become 5? Holograms, Ashira said quietly. Or perhaps sophisticated electronic warfare. They are confusing our sensors. Kelvar slammed his fist on the command rail. I do not care how many images they create. Saturate the entire area with fire. Hit everything. The order went out. The Golden Fleet opened fire in all directions, filling space with devastating energy. 2 Zephron ships firing blindly accidentally hit each other. One lost shields completely. Another's navigation system failed, sending it spinning out of control. In the chaos, the real human scout ship slipped away, moving toward the edge of the asteroid field. They are escaping, Thurian reported. After them, Kelvar roared. All ships pursue, but as the Golden Fleet gave chase, more problems emerged. Ships that got too close to the human vessel experienced strange malfunctions. Communications failed. Targeting computers reset randomly. 3 frigates collided when their proximity sensors gave false readings. Captain Santos watched her tactical display. Arya, how is our electronic countermeasure package performing? Excellently, Captain. The enemy uses a centralized communication network. I have introduced minor disruptions that cascade through their fleet coordination systems. They are essentially interfering with each other now. Elegant, Maria said. Time to leave? I recommend departure, Captain. We have gathered sufficient intelligence. Also, our mission parameters specify observation only, not engagement. Agreed. Helm plot jump course. Take us out of system. Course plotted, Captain. The TSS Horizon Scout accelerated suddenly, its engines glowing bright blue. It shot past the Zephron formation, too fast for them to react. Then in a flash of light, it vanished into faster-than-light travel. Prince Kelvar stood speechless. Around him, damage reports flooded in. 23 ships reported various levels of damage. Some had hull breaches. Others had burned out sensors. 2 ships had collided and needed emergency repairs. All of this from chasing one small vessel. Status of enemy ship? Kelvar asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Gone, Your Highness, the sensor officer replied nervously. They jumped to FTL. We cannot track them. Thurian reviewed the battle data with growing concern. Brother, I need to show you something. He brought up a detailed scan of the human ship. Look at the weapons loadout. Kelvar studied the image. His expression slowly changed from anger to confusion. Where are their weapons? Exactly, Thurian said. That ship carried no offensive weapons. None. Only defensive shields, electronic countermeasures, and sensor equipment. Ashira joined them, her face serious. We just attacked a survey ship with our entire fleet, and it escaped. The bridge fell silent. Every officer present understood the implications. They had failed to destroy a single unarmed vessel. Kelvar's face darkened. Find out everything about these humans. I want to know what kind of species builds unarmed ships that can defeat a battle fleet. Your Highness, the intelligence officer spoke up hesitantly. I have preliminary data. That ship is classified as a TSS vessel. According to our database, TSS stands for Terran Scout Service. Scout? Thurian repeated. That was a scout ship. Yes, Your Highness. It appears humans use small scout vessels for exploration and reconnaissance. They are not combat ships. Kelvar felt cold dread creeping into his chest. If that was just a scout, what do their warships look like? No one answered. The question hung in the air like a threat. Ashira pulled up additional data. Brother, I found something else. Human military structure appears to have multiple ship classifications. Scouts, frigates, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts. Show me a dreadnought, Kelvar demanded. I cannot, Your Highness. We have no visual data on human capital ships. Only their scouts have been observed in this region. Thurian looked at his brother with genuine worry. We need to report this to Father immediately. If their scouts can do this, their actual military must be formidable. Kelvar's pride wrestled with his growing fear. No, we will not return in shame. We will study these humans, learn their weaknesses. Then we will strike again, properly this time. Brother, Ashira said firmly, this is foolish. We should establish communication, perhaps diplomatic contact. Diplomacy is for the weak, Kelvar snapped. We are Zephron. We do not negotiate with species we intend to conquer. Far away, in Terran command on Mars, Admiral Jackson reviewed the data from Captain Santos. Around him, other officers watched the holographic replay of the encounter. 80 ships, one officer whistled, and Maria danced around them like they were standing still. Admiral Jackson nodded slowly. The Zephron Empire. Our intelligence suggested they might be aggressive. Now we have confirmation. Should we send a battle group, sir? No, Jackson said. Not yet. We will watch them. Let them make the next move. Captain Santos and her crew performed perfectly. They gathered intelligence without escalating the situation. Sir, what if they attack again? The Admiral's expression hardened. Then, they will learn what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. Send orders to all scout units in that sector. Full surveillance on Zephron movements, and activate Battle Group Orion. Keep them on standby, just in case. Yes, sir. As the officers dispersed, Admiral Jackson looked at the image of the Golden Fleet. 80 impressive warships, filled with proud alien warriors who had never known defeat. He felt a moment of sympathy for them. They had no idea what they were dealing with. Humanity had crawled out of a violent past, survived extinction events, and learned to turn every challenge into a lesson. Human ships were not the biggest or the most heavily armed, but they were smart, adaptive, and crewed by people who refused to quit. The Zephron had just picked a fight with the wrong species. They would learn. The hard way. The truth revealed Emperor. Zephyros sat upon the crystal throne, a monument of power that had witnessed 3,000 years of conquest and glory. The throne room stretched vast and imposing, its walls decorated with the banners of 47 conquered worlds. Today, however, the Emperor's expression showed no pride. Only cold anger burned in his ancient eyes. Before him stood his 3 children, each trying to maintain dignity despite their obvious shame. The full court had gathered to witness this moment. Generals, advisors, and noble houses watched in tense silence. Explain, the Emperor said, his voice like grinding stone. Explain how 80 warships of our Golden Fleet failed to destroy one small vessel. Prince Kelvar stepped forward, his armor no longer shining as brightly. Father, we underestimated their technology. The human ship possessed electronic warfare capabilities beyond our expectations. It created false sensor readings and disrupted our coordination systems. One ship, Emperor Zephyros repeated, disrupted 80 of our best vessels? Thurian spoke up. Father, with respect, we have encountered something unprecedented. The human vessel was unarmed. It carried no weapons at all, yet it evaded our entire fleet through superior maneuvering and countermeasures. Unarmed? The Emperor leaned forward. You attacked an unarmed survey ship? We believed it was armed, Father, Kelvar said quickly. Our sensors could not properly identify their systems. Ashira had remained quiet, but now she spoke. Father, I believe we face a critical situation. We have provoked a species we know nothing about. I recommend we establish diplomatic communication before this escalates further. The Emperor studied his youngest child. You always were the cautious one, Ashira. But caution has never built empires. He turned to his chief science advisor. Mekron, what have your researchers learned about these humans? The elderly Zephron scholar stepped forward, carrying a data tablet. His 6 fingers danced across the display as he organized his findings. Your Majesty, we have compiled what little information exists about humanity. The results are deeply troubling. Troubling how? Mekron projected holographic images into the center of the throne room. A blue-green planet appeared, rotating slowly. This is Earth, the human homeworld. Our analysis suggests an environment that should have prevented intelligent life from thriving. The planet experiences extreme seasonal variations, regular seismic activity, and has witnessed at least 5 mass extinction events. The court murmured. Most species evolved on stable worlds. Unstable planets rarely produced spacefaring civilizations. Continue, the Emperor commanded. Humanity evolved as persistence hunters, Your Majesty. They are endurance predators. While not the fastest or strongest species, they can outlast almost any prey. This philosophy extends to their entire culture. They do not give up. Another image appeared showing human history. Wars, disasters, plagues, all depicted in rapid succession. Human history is marked by constant conflict, not just with other species, but with each other. For thousands of years they fought amongst themselves, nation against nation, ideology against ideology. Yet they survived every catastrophe, every plague, every war, and they learned from each one. Prince Thurian watched the images with growing unease. They fight each other? Constantly? Until recently, yes, Mekron confirmed. Approximately 200 years ago they achieved global unity, but only after devastating themselves in multiple world-spanning wars. The weapons they used on each other would terrify most civilized species. What kinds of weapons? Kelvar asked. Mekron hesitated. Your Highness, they developed atomic weapons. They split atoms to create explosions capable of destroying entire cities. They built thousands of these weapons and aimed them at their own population centers. Shocked gasps echoed through the throne room. The Zephyron Empire used plasma and energy weapons. The concept of atomic warfare seemed barbaric. They threatened to annihilate themselves? Ashira asked quietly. Yes, Princess, and they came very close. But they stepped back from that edge. They chose survival over destruction. This tells us something crucial about their psychology. They understand annihilation intimately, which makes them very dangerous enemies. The Emperor stroked his chin thoughtfully. What of their military capabilities? Mekron brought up new images, ship classifications, fleet compositions, and technological assessments. This is where our intelligence becomes limited, Your Majesty. The vessel your children encountered was a scout ship. Classification TSS, operated by the Terran Scout Service. These ships carry minimal crew, typically 6 to 10 individuals. Their purpose is exploration and intelligence gathering. Only 6 to 10 crew? Thurian looked amazed. That ship was piloted by less than 10 humans? Correct, Your Highness. And they were likely trainees. Scout service is where many human military personnel begin their careers. The throne room erupted in shocked conversation. Trainees. They had been outmaneuvered by beginners? Emperor Zephyros raised his hand for silence. What about their actual military? That is the problem, Your Majesty. We have almost no data. Humans maintain strict operational security. Their scout ships are the only vessels regularly observed in neutral space. Their military fleets remain in Terran-controlled systems. Give me your best estimate, the Emperor demanded. Mekron manipulated the display, showing human ship silhouettes with question marks. Based on intercepted communications and energy signatures, humans operate several ship classes. Frigates, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and dreadnoughts. The power output from just one human destroyer exceeds our largest battleship. Impossible, Kelvar protested. Their ships are smaller than ours. Size does not equal power, Your Highness. Human technology focuses on efficiency and adaptability. Their ships use advanced computing systems that learn and adapt during combat. The artificial intelligence we observed was not following pre-programmed responses. It was thinking, calculating, predicting our actions in real time. Ashira spoke up. You mentioned something called artificial intelligence. What exactly is that? A revolutionary technology, Princess. Humans have created thinking machines, not simple computers that follow commands, but actual artificial minds that can reason, learn, and solve problems independently. Every human ship carries at least one AI system. Larger vessels may have dozens working in coordination. The implication sent chills through the assembled court. Machines that could think, weapons that learned, Macron, the Emperor said slowly. What would happen if we encountered an actual human battle fleet? The old scholar looked grave. Your Majesty, I believe we would lose catastrophically. Scout ships are designed for survival and evasion. Combat ships would be designed for destruction. And if one scout confused 80 of our vessels, I cannot predict what a coordinated fleet would do to us. Silence fell across the throne room. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Zephyron Empire faced an opponent they did not understand and could not easily defeat. Prince Kelvar's face burned with shame and anger. Father, I request permission to launch another expedition. A proper military assault. We will prove these humans are not invincible. No, Ashira said sharply. Brother, did you not hear anything? We are dealing with a species that survived extinction multiple times. They wage war against themselves for entertainment and learning. Attacking them again is suicide. We are Zephyron, Kelvar shouted. We do not back down from any species. Pride, Thurian said quietly, is a luxury we can no longer afford. But Kelvar would not be swayed. He turned to his father. Give me 150 ships. I will bring you human prisoners. I will bring you their technology. I will prove that our empire is still supreme. Emperor Zephyros looked at his eldest son for a long moment. He saw pride, yes, but also desperation. The young prince needed to restore his honor. Very well, the emperor said finally. Take 150 ships. But Thurian and Ashira will accompany you. Together you will show me what these humans are truly capable of. Ashira started to protest, but her father's look silenced her. Go, Emperor Zephyros commanded. But be warned. If you fail again, there will be consequences. The three princes bowed and left the throne room. As soon as they were gone, the emperor turned to Macron. Tell me truthfully, old friend.
Can they win?
Macron shook his head slowly. Your Majesty, I do not believe so. But perhaps their defeat will teach us a necessary lesson. Sometimes the universe presents us with equals, and equals should be respected, not conquered. 2 weeks later, Prince Kelvar's expanded fleet gathered at the edge of Terran space. 150 warships, the largest Zephyron force assembled in a century. This time, they targeted a different location. A human research station orbiting a gas giant. The station appeared small and lightly defended, perfect for demonstrating Zephyron power. All ships, Kelvar commanded, assume attack formation. We will destroy their station and capture any vessels that attempt to flee. Thurian monitored sensor readings from his position. Brother, I am detecting 3 contacts near the station. Small vessels similar to the scout we encountered before. 3 scouts? Kelvar laughed. Excellent. We will avenge our previous humiliation. Ashira checked her own displays. Something feels wrong. Why would they only send 3 scouts to defend a research station? Because they are fools, Kelvar declared. All ships commence attack. The Zephyron fleet surged forward. 150 warships against 3 small human scouts. It should have been a massacre. On board the TSS Wanderer, Captain James Park watched the approaching alien armada with calm professionalism. His 2 sister ships, Pathfinder and Horizon, floated nearby. Well, he said to his crew of 8. They brought friends this time. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, grinned. 150 ships. I almost feel flattered. Zeus, Park addressed his ship's AI. Analysis? The artificial intelligence responded instantly. Captain, enemy fleet composition, 92 frigates, 43 destroyers, 15 heavy cruisers. Combined firepower sufficient to level a small moon. Tactical assessment, they intend to overwhelm us with numbers. Can we handle them? Individually? Sounds coordinated with Pathfinder and Horizon. Probability of mission success, 87%. Park nodded. Good enough odds. Open channel to Pathfinder and Horizon. Time to show them what 3 scouts can do when they work together. The 3 human ships began moving in perfect synchronization. They did not flee. Instead, they flew directly toward the Zephyron fleet. On the Eternal Glory, Thurian watched in disbelief. Brother, they are approaching us. 3 ships against our entire fleet. They are insane, Kelvar said. Open fire. Destroy them all. What happened next would be analyzed by Zephyron military academies for generations. The 3 scout ships split apart, each diving into the Zephyron formation from different angles. They moved with inhuman precision, as if controlled by a single mind. Because in a way they were. The 3 AI systems, Zeus, Aria, and Thor, communicated faster than thought, coordinating every movement. Zephron ships fired thousands of shots. None found their targets. The human scouts twisted through the barrage like leaves in a storm. But these leaves had teeth. Electronic warfare pulses erupted from all three ships simultaneously. The Zephron fleet's communication network collapsed instantly. Ships lost contact with each other. Navigation systems reported false readings. Weapons targeting became erratic. Then the humans did something unexpected. They stopped running. The three scouts positioned themselves in a triangle formation, hovering motionless in the middle of the Zephron fleet. They became the eye of the storm. Why did they stop? Kelvar demanded. Destroy them now. But the Zephron ships could not coordinate their fire. Every attempt to target the scouts resulted in ships nearly hitting each other. The humans had positioned themselves perfectly. Any shot that missed would hit another Zephron vessel. Thurian realized the trap. They are using our numbers against us. We cannot fire without risking friendly casualties. Then ram them. Kelvar roared. Several Zephron ships attempted to close the distance. The scouts waited until the last moment, then moved in perfect unison. The Zephron ships collided with each other instead, creating a chain reaction of impacts and explosions. Ashira watched in horror as the fleet tore itself apart. No human weapons were being fired. None were needed. The scouts simply existed as points of chaos, and the Zephron formation collapsed around them. Brother, she said urgently, we must retreat. Now. No.
Kelvar slammed his fist down.
We outnumber them 50-1. And we are losing. Thurian shouted, his usual calm shattered. Look at our casualties. 30 ships damaged. 15 destroyed. And the humans have not fired a single shot. Captain Park watched the chaos with satisfaction. Zeus status? All systems optimal, Captain. Enemy fleet coordination degraded by 94%. Recommend disengagement. Mission objectives achieved. Agreed. Signal Pathfinder and Horizon. Let's go home. The three scout ships accelerated suddenly, slipping through the confused Zephron formation like ghosts. They vanished into FTL before anyone could react. Kelvar stared at the empty space where the scouts had been. Around him, his fleet floated in disarray. 74 ships reported damage. 21 were completely destroyed, all from chasing 3 unarmed vessels. Thurian spoke quietly, his voice filled with resignation. Brother, we just learned an important lesson. What lesson? Kelvar asked bitterly. Those were scouts, observation and reconnaissance vessels, not combat ships. He turned to look at his brother. We only fought their scouts, Kelvar. We haven't even seen their actual military yet. The truth of those words settled over the Zephron fleet like a funeral shroud. They had brought 150 warships to fight 3 scouts, and they had lost. Ashira looked at her brothers with sad eyes. We need to go home. We need to tell Father the truth. The humans are not prey. They are equals, perhaps even superiors, and we have made them our enemies through our arrogance. For once, Kelvar had no argument. His pride lay shattered among the wreckage of his fleet. Set course for home, he said quietly. We will tell Father everything. As the Zephron fleet limped away from Terran space, none of them noticed the small observation drones that followed at a distance. Human intelligence was watching, recording, and analyzing everything. In Terran Command, Admiral Jackson received the full report. He watched the battle footage 3 times, his expression unreadable. Sir, his aide asked, should we pursue? No, Jackson said. They are learning. Let them go back to their empire and spread the word. Sometimes the best warfare is the kind you never have to fight. And if they come back, the Admiral's expression hardened. Then we will stop being polite. When humanity arrives, the journey back to the Zephron homeworld took 12 days. 12 days of silence, shame, and growing dread. Prince Kelvar spent most of that time alone in his quarters, replaying the battles over and over. 150 ships defeated by 3 scouts. The numbers haunted him. Thurian immersed himself in analysis, trying to understand human technology. Every report made his concern deepen. The more he learned, the more he realized how dangerous humanity truly was. Ashira spent her time preparing a diplomatic proposal. She knew war with humans would end in disaster. Peace was the only logical path forward. When the battered fleet arrived at Zephrys Prime, the capital world, news of their defeat had already spread. Citizens gathered in shocked silence as damaged warships limped into orbit. The Golden Fleet, symbol of imperial might, returned home broken. Emperor Zephyros summoned his children immediately. This time the throne room was closed to the public. Only the Emperor's most trusted advisors attended. "Speak," the Emperor commanded, his voice colder than space itself. Kelvar stepped forward, his head bowed. "Father, I have failed you. We engaged 3 human scout vessels with 150 warships. We suffered severe casualties. They suffered none. How?" The Emperor's single word carried the weight of 3,000 years of conquest. Thurion provided the technical explanation. "Their ships coordinate perfectly through artificial intelligence networks. They exploit our numerical advantage by turning it into a disadvantage. Their electronic warfare capabilities exceed anything in our arsenal. And Father, these were just scouts. We still have not encountered their actual military forces." Emperor Zephyros closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he looked older, wearier. "Mekron," he said to his chief advisor, "your assessment?" The elderly scholar stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I believe we face an existential crisis. The Zephron Empire has conquered 47 species through superior technology and military strength. But humanity possesses something we do not. They possess adaptability. When we fight, we follow doctrine and tradition. When humans fight, they improvise and innovate. Every battle teaches them something new. Are you saying we cannot defeat them?" "I am saying, Your Majesty, that victory against humanity would cost more than we can afford. We would win eventually through sheer numbers, but the casualties would cripple our empire for generations. Other conquered species might see our weakness and rebel." The throne room fell silent. The truth sat heavy on everyone's shoulders. Ashira spoke up, her voice clear and confident. "Father, I propose a different approach. Send me as ambassador to humanity. Let me establish diplomatic relations. We can coexist with these people. They do not seek conquest. They only defend themselves. Diplomacy with prey species diminishes us," one of the generals objected. "They are not prey," Thurion said firmly. "They are predators, just like us. And predators that ignore other predators do not survive long." Before the Emperor could respond, alarms blared throughout the palace. The advisors looked around in confusion. Such alarms had not sounded in centuries. "Your Majesty," a communications officer rushed in, "we have detected multiple FTL signatures entering our system. Unknown vessels approaching Zephyros Prime." "How many?" the Emperor demanded. "Initial count shows 15 contacts, Your Majesty. They are broadcasting a diplomatic identification code and requesting permission to establish orbit." "Diplomatic?" Kelvar looked confused. "From whom?" The answer came moments later when holographic displays throughout the throne room activated simultaneously. A human face appeared, strong features showing both authority and restraint. "Greetings, Emperor Zephyros. I am Ambassador Chen of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. I apologize for arriving unannounced, but your empire has attacked our vessels and facilities twice. We are here to discuss the situation before it escalates further." The Emperor studied the human carefully. Ambassador Chen looked unimpressive physically, smaller than a Zephron, no visible natural weapons. But his eyes held intelligence and determination. "You dare enter our space uninvited?" Emperor Zephyros said. "You attacked our people uninvited," Chen replied calmly. "We believe in proportional response. You sent warships. We sent ambassadors, though I must admit our ambassadors rarely travel alone." On the tactical displays, Zephron sensors finally identified the 15 vessels. 12 were indeed diplomatic ships, unarmed transports designed for negotiations. But 3 others made every Zephron in the room feel cold fear. 3 human destroyers, each one smaller than a Zephron heavy cruiser, but their power signatures were impossible. Energy readings fluctuated beyond anything the Zephron Empire could produce. "You call those diplomatic escorts?" Kelvar growled. "They are," Chen said pleasantly. "We explore peacefully, Prince Kelvar, but we do not die quietly. These vessels are here to ensure we can have a conversation without interruption." Ashira stepped forward. "Ambassador Chen, I am Princess Ashira. I welcome dialogue between our peoples. Will you meet with us?" Chen smiled. "That is why we came, Princess. We have no desire for war, but we need to establish clear boundaries. Your empire has a long history of conquest. Humanity has a long history of refusing to be conquered. You think you can threaten us in our own system?" Kelvar said angrily. "We don't need to threaten you, Prince Kelvar. We only need to exist. You have fought our scouts twice. Both times your fleet suffered catastrophic losses. You have not yet faced our actual military, and I hope you never do. Thurian spoke up, his voice thoughtful. Ambassador, those scout ships that defeated our fleets? What crew level were they? Chen glanced at something off-screen, then back at the Emperor. The crews involved in both incidents were Level 2 scouts. Training personnel gaining practical experience. The throne room erupted in shocked whispers. Training personnel? They had been defeated by human trainees? Level 2? Thurian pressed. Meaning they were not your most experienced crews? Correct. Scouts progress through 5 experience levels. Level 1 are fresh recruits. Level 5 are elite specialists. The crews you encountered were early career personnel learning their roles. They performed admirably. Kelvar felt his remaining pride crumble. They had been humiliated by beginners. Emperor Zephyros raised his hand for silence. When he spoke, his voice carried resignation. What do you want, Ambassador Chen? A non-aggression treaty, Chen replied immediately. Recognition of Terran space boundaries. Reparations for damages caused to our mining facilities. And an exchange of ambassadors to prevent future misunderstandings. And if we refuse? The Emperor asked. Chen's expression hardened slightly. Then our conversation becomes shorter and less pleasant. Your Majesty, humanity does not seek to dominate the galaxy. We prefer cooperation and trade, but we will defend ourselves with extreme prejudice if necessary. Mekron leaned close to the Emperor. Your Majesty, I recommend accepting these terms. They are reasonable, perhaps even generous considering the circumstances. Emperor Zephyros looked at his 3 children. Kelvar stood with clenched fists, his pride still resisting. Thurian nodded slowly, agreeing with Mekron's assessment. Ashira looked hopeful, seeing an opportunity for peace. Very well, the Emperor said finally. We will negotiate. Princess Ashira will represent the Zephyron Empire in these discussions. Chen bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I look forward to productive dialogue. The transmission ended. The throne room remained silent for several moments as everyone processed what had just happened. The mighty Zephyron Empire, conqueror of 47 worlds, had just backed down from conflict. Father, Kelvar began, this is wisdom. Emperor Zephyros interrupted. Something you should learn, my son. There is no shame in recognizing a superior force. There is only shame and foolish pride that cost lives needlessly. Over the next 3 days, negotiations proceeded on a neutral orbital platform. Princess Ashira represented Zephyron interests with intelligence and grace. Ambassador Chen proved fair but firm in his requirements. On the final day, both sides signed the Treaty of Coexistence. Zephyron space and Terran space would remain separate but connected through trade routes. Ambassadors would be exchanged. Reparations would be paid over 10 years. And most importantly, both species agreed to mutual defense pacts against external threats. During the signing ceremony, Ashira spoke privately with Ambassador Chen. May I ask you something personal? She said. Of course, Princess. Why did you show such restraint? Your species could have destroyed our fleet completely. You could have demanded our surrender. Why offer peace instead? Chen smiled. Because humanity learned an important lesson in our own history. Strength without restraint leads to self-destruction. We nearly annihilated ourselves before we learned to choose wisdom over pride. We hope to spare your people that same painful lesson. Your species fights yourselves? Ashira asked, echoing her earlier surprise. We did for thousands of years. Nation against nation, ideology against ideology. We built weapons capable of destroying our entire world, and we nearly used them. He paused, looking out at the stars. But we stepped back from that edge. We chose survival, cooperation, and growth. That choice defines us now. Ashira nodded slowly. We have much to learn from you. And we from you, Chen replied diplomatically. Your empire has endured for 3,000 years. That longevity teaches its own lessons. Perhaps our species can learn from each other. The signing ceremony concluded with formal images that would be distributed throughout both empires. The Zephyron Empire's expansion era had ended, not through military defeat, but through recognition of equals. Back on the Eternal Glory, Princes Kelvar and Thurian watched the ceremony remotely. We should have fought harder, Kelvar muttered. No, Thurian said quietly. We should have thought smarter. Father was right. There is no shame in recognizing superior force, only in wasting lives through stubborn pride. Do you think the humans will honor this treaty? Yes, Thurian replied without hesitation. They demonstrated something rare in this galaxy, restraint. They could have crushed us, but they chose peace. That shows wisdom beyond their years as a spacefaring species. Kelvar said nothing for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. I want to learn more about them. Their tactics, their technology, their philosophy. If we must coexist with humanity, I want to understand them. That, Thurian said with approval, is the smartest thing you have said in months. On the human destroyer Thunderchild, Admiral Jackson watched the signing ceremony with satisfaction. Around him, his officers celebrated the diplomatic victory. Admiral, his tactical officer asked, do you think the Zephrons will truly honor this peace? For now, yes, Jackson replied. They learned an important lesson. Never assume weakness based on appearance. Those princes thought they were attacking prey. They discovered predators instead. Sir, may I ask something? Go ahead. The scout crews that fought the Zephrons. You told Ambassador Chen they were level 2 trainees, but Captain Santos has 15 years of experience. She's level 5 elite. Why did you downplay their expertise? Admiral Jackson smiled slightly. Because sometimes, Lieutenant, the truth is the best psychological warfare. The Zephrons needed to believe they lost to beginners. It makes them cautious. It makes them respect us. And it prevents future conflicts because they will always wonder what our actual military could do. Clever, sir. Not clever. Efficient. We achieved peace without firing a shot. That is always preferable to victory through violence. Years passed after the treaty signing. The Zephron Empire and Terran Federation maintained peaceful relations, even developing profitable trade agreements. Princess Ashira served as the primary Zephron ambassador to humanity, developing deep respect for human culture and adaptability. In time, she married a human diplomat, an event that shocked traditional Zephrons but delighted progressive factions. Her children became the first Zephron-human hybrids, symbols of cooperation between species. Prince Kelvar transformed his humiliation into education. He studied human military history extensively, wrote papers on adaptive tactics, and eventually reformed Zephron military doctrine. His new training emphasized flexibility over rigidity, adaptation over tradition. Prince Thurian became the Empire's chief technology advisor. He established exchange programs where Zephron and human scientists worked together, leading to breakthroughs that benefited both species. Emperor Zephyros ruled for another 20 years before peacefully abdicating. On his final day as emperor, he addressed the Empire one last time. For 3,000 years, he said, we believed strength meant conquest. We believed power meant domination. But humanity taught us a greater truth. True strength is knowing when not to fight. True power is choosing cooperation over conflict. We are Zephron, we endure, we adapt, we grow. And now we grow alongside our human brothers and sisters, stronger together than we ever were alone. On Earth, Captain Maria Santos retired from active scout service and became an instructor at the Terran Scout Academy. On her first day teaching new recruits, she told them a story. Years ago, she began. I was a young scout captain when the Zephron Empire attacked my ship. 80 enemy warships against one small scout vessel. By all logic, we should have died. But we had something those aliens did not understand. We had adaptability. We had intelligence. We had each other. And we had the determination never to quit no matter how bad the odds looked. A recruit raised her hand. Captain Santos, is it true the Zephron fleet was destroyed? No, Maria corrected. They were defeated but not destroyed. That is an important distinction. We did not seek to annihilate them. We sought to survive, to learn, and to teach them about humanity in the process. Destruction is easy, but turning enemies into allies? That requires true skill. Another recruit spoke up. Captain, what would you say is the most important lesson from that encounter? Maria smiled. Never underestimate anyone based on appearance. The Zephron saw a small ship and assumed weakness. They learned otherwise. Similarly, we should never assume we know everything about an opponent. Stay curious. Stay adaptable. Stay humble. Those qualities have served humanity well, and they will serve you well as scouts. Decades later, an elderly Prince Kelvar sat with his grandchildren, telling them stories of his youth. Grandfather, one child asked, is it true you once fought humans? Kelvar nodded slowly. Yes, little one. Twice I led fleets against human scouts. Twice I was defeated. Were the humans very powerful? They were, Kelvar admitted, but not in the way I expected. Their ships were smaller than ours. Their weapons were fewer, but they had something we lacked. They had ingenuity. They had unity. And they had experience surviving against impossible odds. Did you hate them, grandfather? At first, yes. But hatred comes from ignorance. Once I learned about humanity, once I understood their history and their values, I could not hate them anymore. I could only respect them. Are they friends now? Kelvar smiled warmly. Better than friends, little one. They are family. Your grandmother is human, remember? Which makes you part human too, and that is something to be proud of. The child thought about this. Grandfather, if you could go back and change what happened, would you? Kelvar considered the question carefully. No, he said finally. Those defeats taught me humility. They taught our entire empire that we are not alone in this galaxy, that other species deserve respect. If I had won those battles, I would have remained arrogant. I would have missed the opportunity to grow. Sometimes losing is the greatest victory of all. In the year 2847, on the 75th anniversary of the Treaty of Coexistence, a grand celebration was held on a neutral space station, jointly built by Zephrons and humans. Representatives from dozens of species attended, all of them interested in this unique partnership. Admiral Jackson, now quite elderly but still sharp, stood with Princess Ashira, who had aged gracefully. Do you remember our first conversation? Chen asked, now also retired but attending as a guest of honor. Ashira laughed. How could I forget? My brothers were terrified. My father was calculating odds, and I was desperately trying to prevent a war. You succeeded admirably. We all did. Humans showed restraint when you could have chosen dominance. That made all the difference. An elderly Captain Santos joined them, walking with a slight limp from decades of service. Captain Santos, Ashira greeted warmly. Still telling stories to recruits? Always, Maria replied with a grin. Though the story grows more embellished each year. In the latest version, I apparently defeated 1,000 Zephron ships. They all laughed. The truth was impressive enough, Ashira said. You proved that intelligence and adaptability can overcome raw power. We were lucky, Maria said modestly. Luck favors the prepared, Admiral Jackson countered. You were not lucky. You were skilled, well-trained, and you refused to panic under pressure. Those are human traits that serve us well, Ashira nodded. And those are the traits that convinced our empire to choose peace. We recognized something familiar in humanity. You reminded us of ourselves in our younger days, hungry, determined, and unstoppable. But you also showed us something we had forgotten, that growth does not always require conquest. To growth through cooperation, Chen raised his glass. To friendship across the stars, Ashira added. To never underestimating scout ships, Maria said with a mischievous smile. They clinked their glasses together as fireworks erupted outside the station, celebrating 75 years of peace between two species that should have been enemies, but chose to become family instead. And somewhere in deep space, a young Terran scout ship named Horizon's Hope conducted its first independent mission. Its crew of 8 worked efficiently, unaware they continued a legacy of courage and adaptability that had changed the galaxy. Their AI, a 5th-generation system named Athena, monitored sensors and spoke to her captain. Captain Rivera, I am detecting unknown vessels ahead. Shall I initiate contact protocols? The young captain straightened in her chair. Always contact first. That is the Terran way. Open channels, Athena. Let's see who our new neighbors are. And so the cycle continued. Scouts exploring, humanity growing, and the galaxy becoming a little less hostile with each peaceful encounter. The end.